So there's a study out of the University of Washington Business School by William Bransford, and he conducted a 10-year analysis of income data on the gap. And now this isn't the asset gap, this is the income gap between white families and black families. And what he found in that 10-year panel study was that African Americans that worked for someone else, the gap got wider in that 10-year period for those families. Those families that had entrepreneurs in those families actually closed the gap completely on average. And this is backed up by work by Robert Farley at the University of California, Santa Cruz, who's probably one of the preeminent professors on the issue of entrepreneurship in communities of color. He actually did a study that showed that adding an entrepreneur to a black family increased the assets of that family by 600% on average. So this issue of building wealth through entrepreneurship is critical if we're going to close the wealth gap in this country. The issue with it, though, there's some issues. So I don't want to put it out as a panacea because there's some issues. One is 97% of entrepreneurs of color are below, their businesses are below $1 million in revenue. So many of these businesses are storefronts, are very small and very much subsistence businesses. So, you know, that same proportion is 30 to 40% of white-owned businesses that are over $1 million in revenue. And so the question is how can you get to scale with those businesses? How do you grow those businesses? And then what are the businesses that entrepreneurs of color are in? Meaning many of them are in businesses that don't have, that have lack of barrier to entry. So you see a lot of restaurants, you see a lot of barbershops, you see a lot of beauty shops, et cetera, because of the low barrier, meaning it doesn't require a lot of capital to get into those businesses, et cetera. And so the question for us is how do we actually transform that system so that there is more revenue, more profit, and more availability to market? So there's something in the system that creates the dynamics. Even though everybody wants the better outcomes, we're not getting them, right? And so so the resource allocation of even when entrepreneurs of color get in the stream of the system, they still can't participate at an even pace. Access to capital. And I work with a number of bankers throughout the country and certainly believe that there are many good-hearted people in the banking industry that want to do the right thing. But when you look at access to capital for people of color, there's something wrong. The Federal Reserve's done numerous studies that show that people of color don't participate in our financial systems and structures as a whole, but entrepreneurs, in addition, don't get access to the capital they need to grow. And this is like illogical, meaning it's against the ethos of our capitalist system not to get capital where it needs to go to those entrepreneurs that actually that can use it. And because they're in the marketplace, just like you talked about earlier, Larry, this issue of stereotypes of Black people not being able to, you know, that they're lazy or this, that, and the other, that exists in the banking market as well, meaning the signal in the marketplace to an entrepreneur of color is that you're more risky, right? Even though CDFIs in the Twin Cities and across the country are lending to these same entrepreneurs, and their loan loss is better in many cases than what the banking industry has with its regular customers. So this question of them being at risk is a myth, is a stereotype that gets projected in the system and creates the outcomes we have.